you guys can start whenever you're ready.
Awesome. Hey guys, my name is Travis Nemmer. I'm running for SA President. I'm a junior triple major in history, political science, and classics. And this is, I've served as the president of the United Nations Student Alliance, the former Elections and Credentials Chair, the former Assistant Elections and Credentials Chair, the Vice President and Treasurer of the College Republicans, the Vice President and Captain of the Mock Trial Team, and I've also served on the Executive Board of the NGO, that is the New York State Federation of College Republicans. I wrote the Constitution for the organization and head up the very creatively named Committee on Elections and Credentialing for them. And I'm actually running their election in the midst of this one. So,
hello everyone, my name is Adam Zimnicki. I currently act as this coordinator. I actually started off in SA as a club member, and then I moved up being elected as vice president and ran UBCon in 2011. Turned out to be a very large UBCon, which was great. I see some fans out in the back there. There you go. I moved on from there. I helped to create the Temp Club Liaison, which is there to help with some of the constitutional errors and difficulties with temporary clubs and becoming a temporary club. I then ran for City Council Coordinator and was successfully elected. During City Council, as my reign, City Council Coordinator, I have been part of a lot of different committees. I am currently on Finance Committee. I also helped chair a lot of the larger committees throughout Senate, which I don't need to speak of right now, but that is my credentials.
alright, so really the first order of business that we're going to have to be subjected to if we win is to restore the students' confidence in the Student Association. SA's got a really nasty reputation, especially this year, as being very cloistered, very self-indulgent, and bureaucratic for the sake of bureaucratic. And what we're going to do is we're going to cut out a lot of the wasteful spending that SA subjects us to. We're going to get rid of a lot of the replication of services. Event planners, for example, exist replicating what club e-boards do. They tell e-boards how to plan events. SA has existed since the 60s. Clubs have existed since before that. The truth is, clubs have been able to hold their own events for decades without this help, without the SA mandating how they're going to plan their events. Secondly, what we're going to do is end the executive board's practice of both raising their own pay through bonuses, and we're going to end the practice of the student mandatory activity fee being used to pay the SA's phone bills. Immediately upon our election, we're going to cut these programs and our assumption of office. We're going to cut these programs and save the SA $50,000 off the bat.
Well, obviously everyone's a little tense here, so I'm going to go into a little thing with clubs here. What was SA created by originally? The clubs. Something that SA has progressively forgotten. The past year we've created new programs and things to try to take away from the club's ability to function. I will tap on the event planners, for example. The event planners are there now to help control and organize events. What are club e-boards? To run events. Moving on from that, one of the big difficulties with being a club officer, from my experience, was always getting in contact with coordinators. I know, I'm crazy busy. I'm on a dozen committees, it seems, and sometimes not able to reach my coordinator. So this year, what we hope to do is we hope to introduce a coordinator assistant. And the coordinator assistant will help assist with that problem and give the ability of the coordinator to keep functioning as not only the coordinator but a senator, but allow clubs to come in. The next thing we're going to do is help to work in a specific program for communication with our clubs on a Dropbox system, which has got a lot of different intricate details, but in essence will allow clubs to communicate with finance better and involve myself.
Alright, now what we really also want to do is bring SA back to its roots, back to student advocacy. We want to put a students' union within the student union. When we had this financial aid crisis last year, you guys probably know better than anyone that SA was really silent on the issue. Who'd we leave it up to fight administration? The only rallies were held by the socialists. Where was the Students' Association's Department of Student Affairs coming out against the fact that they wanted to give us our financial aid in the form of campus cash? What we're going to do is reinvigorate the essay to provide a coherent narrative opposing budget cuts and tuition increases. And to this end, we have the most qualified delegates in the race. Our delegates are all upperclassmen, and none of them are trying to turn this into higher office.
Great. So we're going to do 5 minutes of questioning.
And then also, regardless of endorsement, we're doing meet the candidate for everyone. So if you could stay 5-10 more minutes, and Becky and Sarah can just ask extra questions after this.
Wonderful. Hit us up. I love questions.
Okay. How will you make sure clubs are advertising in lieu of going to SA events, and how will you keep SA events interesting without club support?
There's actually a few things that we want to introduce that I wasn't able to speak of earlier. What we want to do is we want to revitalize the 222 program. Now, it seems a little unconnected, but currently what we do for clubs, we require them to do 2 essay participations. The essay participations, in essence, is for SA to get our advertisement to the clubs. It's the SA's way to use, I guess, the puppet fingers, so to speak. So what we want to do is we want to create a 2 advertising bracket, so that instead of clubs going and saying, well, I have to go and work for SA for a day, they go and they work for themselves. They go and they advertise. And that's where we're going to go with that. What was your second part?
No, hold up, I've got this. Also, what we're going to do, all they have to do is bring evidence of promotion and success. We will be one of the first SA executive boards to mandate rewarding success for clubs. Right now, budgets are determined by how well you march to SA's guidelines. You can win everything, but if you miss a community service requirement, you're not getting an increase. That's wrong. What we're going to do is have clubs show A, how they've promoted themselves, if they've been recognized in the spectrum, if they've been doing a great job of flyering on campus and can show consistent attendance increases, if they can bring some sort of publication, like the men's lacrosse team is always in, Club Lacrosse Quarterly or whatever their publication is. UB's men's lacrosse team is always in there. That would fill their requirement. It's getting a good name out for the club. It's getting kids interested in the club, and this all reflects much better on the SA.
You talked about the clubs being in the spectrum. As the only independent student newspaper on campus, can you talk about how important a good independent newspaper is for a UB community the size that this is?
Well, absolutely. Someone's got to make sure that we're doing after May 1st what we say we're doing now. I mean, without the free press is the guardian of liberty, or in this case, the student activity fee. And what we're going to do to help that is we're going to take out full-page ads at the start of the year saying what we're going to plan on doing. At the end of the year, we're going to say what we were able to do. Student Alliance did this last year with You Demanded, We Delivered. We're going to do the same thing, except we're going to do it at the start and end of each academic semester.
Takes the words right out of my mouth.
Can you talk about, obviously there was a big debacle at the beginning of the year with the Fall Fest fiasco. No blame, but there was, all across the board, there was just really difficult situations for everybody, students and the e-board. Can you talk about if something like that came up in your tenure, how you handle it?
Do you want to take this?
Well, first off, not to point any fingers at anyone in specifically, but a lot of the Fall Fest debacle was the result of a lack of communication between not just the executive board, but the executive board and the members of their staff. So what we're going to do is ensure consistent communication and ensure open communication. We're going to be using the Facebook. We're going to be using every available resource to know so the students know what we're doing. And this is why we've created transparent polls for Fall Fest and Spring Fest. That students will know what the top choice is. The students will know what the top choice is as soon as we do. That way no one gets a nasty surprise when we wind up with the 7th choice.
So how will you advocate for students about budget cuts and tuition increases? Effectively you don't really make that decision.
Yeah, I know. First off, thank you for recognizing that. A lot of delegates say, you know what, I'm going to save us from budget cuts, and I'm going to save us from tuition increases, and that's the easiest lie any delegate is ever going to say. What I can promise you guys is that I will fight like hell to fight like hell against budget cuts and tuition increases, because we have a uniquely qualified slate of candidates to do this. All of our delegates are running on their records of speaking power to authority. John Steffen created the Teal Line because he saw a problem with not having shuttle to Flint. Lauren Fields has become a fixture in fighting for safety on South Campus. Peter Grassi has delegate in his e-board position already. He's the head delegate of UNSA. He trains and does nothing but teaching students how to speak to other people, and especially speak to power. I serve on the executive board of the New York State Federation of College Republicans, which is an organization that exists almost solely to get people elected to the state legislature. We already have substantial clout within Albany due to the fact that we are the largest source of free labor for these people, and they owe us for that.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you all for your time.